We here, we here. So basically, this video is a continuation from yesterday, but I'm branching off into self-employed. Um, Going into self-employed, a lot of people having questions, because honestly, with you being self-employed is all on you. You know, you particularly don't have a boss that's telling you what to do, giving you a paycheck because you are the boss. You give yourself a paycheck. So there are going to be a lot of questions to debt to income ratio. You know, how you're paying your bills. I mean, what's the name of the renters? Um, Rent Reporters. RentReporters.com. That's where you report your rent, paying it on time to your credit, and until when they're looking at you buying a house, they see, that credit of you paying on time and, being able to, do the right thing. Also, when people are, trying to buy a house and you're self-employed, for a lot of people, things that you got to check on, mainly is deposits. Make sure you're having your deposits in there because um your ratio of your gains and losses. And once you start, looking at the numbers, they're going to start determining whether, you can get qualified for the loan because basically you want to make it easy enough for the underwriters to have no question in, giving you that loan. And the way the underwriters have no question in giving you the loan is because all your paperwork is in order. Shout out to everybody that's coming in. Um, Make sure all your paperwork is in order. You know, uh, I stress this a lot, because this is people who are W-2 as well. They want to see the constant flow of money in your bank. They're going to do the normal thing. Self-employed people are doing some of the things normally as a W-2, but there's slight difference in things. You know, 2 months bank statements, and if need be, they would have to have a year. Just year to date. But mainly they want to see the income coming in and actually having an understanding that the money that you have in your account is not just something that just popped up just because. You know, doing 2 year tax return. Like I said, in most cases, it depends. Some of them do 3 and 4. It all depends on the loan officer, the company that you're dealing with, where you're getting the loan. Um, I was talking to a guy. Actually, I think he's a broker, so I might end up trying to get him and do a short video with him because I know his time is limited. But besides working, he has a family, so I don't want to cut into that time and everything, especially with the real estate guy, Ramon Williams, that I had yesterday. He's in the local Atlanta area, and he's going to ask some questions. I'm going to drop his information later on today to where if people want to contact him in the local Atlanta area looking for homes, um, because he actually, don't just deal with Atlanta area. He actually got a guy that bought a house out in Milledgeville, Milledgeville, Georgia. So to an extent, you know, he pretty much can gain within the whole Georgia area. And this guy actually bought a house with the rural loan, buying a rural area loan. So the interest rate was, a whole lot better than normal because he was outside the perimeter. And, you know, take heed for that for a lot of people. Like I said, the market right now is it's a little, high going into buying a house because people know that they can actually get more money for the houses, and plus the interest rate, is playing depending on where you at, up and down. But houses are always a great opportunity. You know, like I said, do your research, check the areas when you're buying a house, make sure the value of the house that you got up here it's going to be worthwhile, you know. And a lot of people, they take on, different situations and buying a house in which they need to start doing research. Like I said, go back in the way you used to do in high school. Start looking at yourself buying a house just like you're doing a report for school or college, to the degree. You want to make sure who, what, when, where, why, and how. You know what I'm saying? Looking at the loans, what type of loan that you think you can qualify for. You know, First off, you want to make sure you have your credit. That's one of the key things, credit and money. Whether you're self-employed or not, this mainly towards self-employed, but just for both in this instance. You want to make sure you have a proper credit score, at least a 670, is decent, but always the higher the credit score, the better the approval rate. A lot of people got to realize that the higher the credit score, the better the approval rate. You know, Money can, trump that because, we talked about it yesterday about paying your interest rate down, the points, paying your interest rate down. When it comes down to it, you know, you have that extra money, you can pay that interest rate down. And I also talked about this yesterday on my live with people. If you don't have certain funds available, you can get it gifted to you, with the intent. They're gonna make sure that those funds are available. You're not just randomly snatching no money out of thin air. Like that money is gonna have to be in a person's account. They're gonna write you out a check. They're not just, handing you a wad of cash, transactional. That it's gonna come from their bank. They're gonna know that that money is, there. It gets kind of tricky when you try to sneak because, like I said, for one, they want to make sure you can afford the loan. They don't want to give you a loan with the intent of 3 months later you can't afford the house. Back in the day, that was always prevalent. The thing of it was people stay in the houses 6 months, a year, 2 years, just like apartments. But now, the rules they done came down hard on, loan officers and actually giving these loans. Especially with the self-employed. A lot of people can cook the books. So they have to thoroughly look at you anyway, you know, in the process, you know. Yeah. And when it comes down to it, you know, a lot of people, when you cook those books, it's gonna come out in the bank statements. It's gonna come out in the tax return. For a lot of people that write a lot of losses off on that business. It's gonna hurt you when buying a house. It helps you with the credit, but then it hurts you when buying the house. So maybe this year you might want to show that you gain more and didn't write as much off and pay a little more taxes to get a better outcome when you buy this house this year. Because that's the biggest thing is about paying less taxes. So when it comes down to it, like I say, weigh your options. When buying a house, make sure, like I keep saying this, make sure you're depositing money in the account. A lot of people who have, business far as barber salons, you know, cash business to where, people are giving you cash. You want to make sure that you're depositing this money, you know, into the business account. You know, if you have a business account. If not, you're doing everything out of your personal, make sure you have that and you have it set aside to where when you see these deposits, they know that this is coming from this. This is towards this because when it comes down to it, that's all they want to basically see. Can you afford the house? Debt to income ratio, a lot of people have an issue with that because, some people overspend, you know, to an extent. We have these arguments about ladies and men, but when it come down to it, some women do spend a lot more. There are men too. Don't get it wrong. There's a lot of men that spend a lot too, on cars, have their hobbies and things. But the women have their purses and shopping because sometimes to the extent shopping is an addiction to. So you got to actually understand when you're overspending like that and it's showing up on your bank statements and stuff. They're looking at all that. The underwriter's going into detail about everything. Even the equipment that you buy for your business. If you overspend, and you're not showing a profit in what you're spending that money and getting it back, they're looking at everything. You know, they're looking at the bank statements from your personal and from your business side, because they want to see, can you actually afford this house? Because like I said, going into it just regular W-2, they're gonna look at your statement, see that the money's being deposited in your account from your W-2, and then they're gonna go over there and see the money in the account and see how you're spending it. Now with the business, it's slightly different. Like I said, to an extent, some people pay themselves, some people don't pay themselves out of their business. When I was running a business, me and a friend, we paid ourselves every Friday. We had a set amount come in our account every Friday, and if it was need for more money that we needed out or just doing something, or we would give like a little small bonus every now and then. But the main thing was having a constant flow of money, just like a W-2. You're getting paid. Then on top of that, the business side, everything in the account was accounted for. All the money for gas that we were spending, the vehicles for paying the car notes every month, the insurance, everything was set up. You know, the money that was coming in, it varied due to the work that we were doing because we were doing transportation. But the point of it is, it was never a process where the money was steady decreasing. It was steady increasing every paycheck because we were figuring out more ways to make more money. So that would be a plus if I was in a position to buy a house. My debt to income ratio, all the debt that I had was mainly like small credit cards. Nothing, no major payments. Even with the business, you know, the most thing that we were had monthly occurrence that was so high was mainly the insurance on the vehicles. You know, we were paying, I think we did a contract for 6 months, and we went with a prestigious company. I'm not even saying that. It was wild, but actually, to me, it was kind of high. But then again, it made it run smooth with everybody who we dealt with, far as because you had to have $1 million policy, far as the insurance, covering the people, covering, just in general. I mean, Amazon does the same thing. Did a contract with Amazon. If you're transporting for Amazon, they want to make sure their freight is insured. They want to make sure you're insured, the truck, because if anything happens, they, you're going to be responsible. So having $100,000 insurance is not going to cover it, and people spending all that money, it's going to show up on these bank statements. So, like I said, when buying a house and you self-employed, you're going to actually need the money. I mean, there's no way around it. You're going to need the money. Having money in the account is a plus. Keeping money cash, you know, to an extent, let's say you're self-employed and you always deal with cash, it's easy for you to deposit money in the account. And it's not like something that you're just, unknown where the money's coming from. A lot of times when you deal in cash and you're depositing it into account, so many times a week, to an extent, that just shows the amount of, I guess haircuts you do, or styles you do for women. That's about 10 clients. You can show, okay, I do this many clients, I charge this much money. It varies. Okay, going into, let's say you do transportation or something like that. Um, Most of the stuff is deposited. You never do too much in cash. A lot of people, they do, excuse me, brokers to where they pay them. So a lot of times stuff like that, when you're dealing in cash, it's easy to just put that money in there and show the account. I mean, even with selling t-shirts, craft, doing work, that's something that somebody will actually pay you money in cash. If you're always putting money, like putting cash in your account, that's not going to be a red flag for them, because they know the industry that you're in, you mostly deal in cash, so they will have that available. you know Yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest thing with credit score, a lot of people don't realize it. When you're young, even in business, business credit is a plus. Some people have better business credit than they have personal credit. To the extent everything is, pretty much in front of you, as long as you get your cars properly, because be that as it may, using credit in the business form is actually a win all day. I don't want to get into that because I'm trying to stay more on the housing topic, but when it comes down to it, a lot of people like with transportation or having just like I say, having salons, having, barbers, a lot of equipment. Those chairs for the salons and barbers aren't cheap. You're not getting going into Walmart or something getting these type of chairs, these salon chairs, the barber chairs. Those chairs are not cheap. You literally gonna pay money for those chairs. They have hydraulic pumps. They weigh enough. The the design for you to spin around, all those moving parts. Most people pretty much like buying them new. If you find them used to an extent, it's still good, but then you got to make sure the leather and stuff. You want things to look presentable when people come into your establishment. So that right there, if you don't have the cash on hand, or you don't have the cars to pay it, credit is an option. Debit, you don't have the money in your debit account, or you don't have the cash. That's going to be something that's used for business credit. But get back to the story. Credit is big when buying a house. You know, and dealing in cash, make sure you're keeping deposits in there and always showing that if you have a cash on hand, always deposit them in the savings account, business account, preferably in your business account. You know, if you have money aside that you're saving for something, start transferring little by little to show, and that's easy. You can transfer that into your personal account, and you can use that towards the down payment on your house. Because the difference when you start going into this whole thing, debt to income ratio, that's one of the biggest things, and having the funds available. A lot of people don't realize, like, having the funds available. So you guys actually hear that? Okay. Yeah, so basically, God was explaining about buying a house and getting approved for a loan. I was thinking I could share it on my other phone, but basically when it comes down to it, a lot of people, are having the issue, like I said, about self-employed, because the the money. I mean, that's basically when it comes down to loan. Okay, so yeah, it was a video I was trying to play. Um, Next time I have the laptop ready. But basically, when it comes down to it, like I said, and it's just the main thing about having the funds available. Um, Being self-employed, having your credit, up to par. Just like buying a house, if your W-2 is 670 is always good, but anything over 7 is a plus. Ways of fixing your credit, making your personal credit better, getting a secure credit card, and hopefully with a large amount to where they can transfer to an unsecured credit card and it benefits your credit. Paying off all your debt, to the extent if you have a business and you can sustain, you know, buying your equipment and having a little money to the side to try to pay more down on your debt before buying a house. No major purchases, that's a no buying a car right before you want to buy a house. None of that. If you're buying a car straight cash, that's one thing. If you're getting a car note, that's gonna affect your debt to income ratio. Like I said, rentreports.com. Go to rentreports.com and show that you're paying your rent on time. That reports to your credit. So it shows you have good standing in credit. You have something that's revolving on your credit. So that's another way to boost your credit score up. You know, Credit cards, keeping the balance low, 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 low. You know, debt to income ratio, like I said, that's the biggest thing that they're going to look at. They're going to look at how you're using your money. You know, if you're not using your money successfully um, in your personal and your business, that's going to affect the loan. The underwriter, their whole thing is to make sure you can afford to pay for this house. You're self-employed at any given time. They want to make sure proof of funds that, a steady flow. There are people who, like I was talking about yesterday, that do holiday items for sale. A lot of people main holidays or Halloween, Christmas, and Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. But the 4th of July, you don't sell as many items. Easter, you don't sell as many items. President's Day, you don't sell as many items. All the other holidays, you don't sell as much. But at the wintertime, you have to account for that when doing the business. You can show that small stream of income where you're probably doing like $3,000 or maybe 1,500 every month, and the bills are getting it pretty close because you're getting 1,500 a month and it's $1,000 to keep your business, afloat every month. Whether you make money or not, you need $1,000 every month. But in the winter months, during those holidays, you might obtain, you know, uh, anywhere from 30 to, let's say 30 to $50,000. Christmas time, you might make $50,000 within that 1 month. You have to actually show the money that you're making can sustain for the whole year up until those months, those last 3 months out of the year. So within 9 months, you're sustaining your whole business off of those last 3 months. And if you can show that and show how you're conducting your business, show how you're paying your regular bills outside of your business, and still turning and making a profit because you're buying items still to be sold, that's a plus. Because the biggest thing with COVID showed a lot of people, you know, you can have your job today and be gone tomorrow. A lot of business closed during COVID. Restaurants. That's one of the business that deal in cash as well. A lot of people pay for things in cash at restaurants. A lot of people give tips. You got to constantly buy food. Excuse me. You got to constantly update your equipment in there. Restaurants, the tables and all that, napkins, plates, forks, all that stuff. So you want to actually show profits and losses within all that. That's the key. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this right now. But like I said, when it comes down to being self-employed, make sure you have the funds available. Make sure you're showing that your business can sustain. You have the funds in your account. You have your debt to income ratio is low. You know, and it all depends on the money that you have in your account. You know, keep money in the account. Most people who deal in cash like keeping cash on them to an extent, keep a certain amount. Every business has a petty cash, but to an extent, large sums of money, don't keep it on hand. Put it in your account. You know, if need be, you can split up. Let's say you have a large sum of money of 5,000 or something like that. You can put 500 in your personal and some in your business, mainly in your business. Put a little money here in your personal, mainly in your business. See, That's where the paper trail, the biggest focus when dealing with this is the paper trail. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for your deposits. You deal in cash, they're looking for your deposits. When debt to income ratio, they're seeing how much money that you're, in debt, as far as credit cards, car notes, anything that you have, they're looking at that to sustain why they can't give you this loan. Because honestly, they want to give you the loan, but with the intent, if you not being able to pay it off, what's the use of giving it to you? Like I said, the rules have changed. Back in the day, they were giving the loans to people with fake W-2s. They were giving loans to people, giving them two mortgages, to where they opt out on one, the other one, they lose their house. You know, um, like I said, the rules have changed. When it come down to it, the paper trail, they want to make sure you have those funds available. They want to make sure during this time, especially, that you can sustain. Can your business sustain? Can you steady make money? They want to see, like I said, 2 years is always, but in different states or different loan officers, it varies. Dealing with a broker might find you a better deal than dealing with certain loan officers, because most brokers, they shop around. You know, I deal with some brokers when I deal with certain loans, because they'll give me a better deal shopping around for the best opportunity. That's what I did with my life insurance. I got life insurance with Alonzo. I always talk about Alonzo, have him on my show. Um, Alonzo gave me the best opportunity. Personally, he deals with one company that gives him more than everybody else, but he never goes and not weigh the options of other companies. He lets you know the options of other companies, but he have this one that's preferable because the clientele is always there. He's always getting better deals, because the more clients you bring to a company, that's good with a broker. The more clients you bring to a certain company, the more they want to cut deals and deal with you even more. So, like I said, with this being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. But I always remember, when buying a house, keep your credit score up. You know, don't try to buy anything right before you get ready to do this housing process. Excuse me. No cars, no major purchases, no, like, literally, nothing major, nothing outrageous. Going to buy a TV for $1,800 or $2,500 and put it on your credit card. Yes, you can pay it off, but that's a red flag. That's not a necessity that's needed, especially right before you buy a house. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, make sure your credit is up to par. A 670 is good, but going in at least a 720, you're pretty much going to be a shoe-in if you have the money. That's the main objective. They want to make sure you have the money. They want to make sure you can sustain, during any crisis. Like right now, the COVID process, a lot of people, restaurants got closed. A lot of people lost their business. A lot of people, businesses went down due to not having the funds that are available to sustain them living. When people wasn't outside, when people wasn't moving, the thing of it was, people still needed to, have the necessities. Even if you wash their own hair, most people don't like washing their hair. They go to a salon. Guys, can't most guys can't cut their hair. They go to a barber. Those those necessities, getting your nails done and all. A lot of those companies started losing out because their regular customers wasn't coming. So they wanted to see, and in my opinion, they're gonna see like the people that actually still was going to business, like you were still making money during the pandemic crisis, because that's gonna be a plus when you're filing your paperwork. And like I said, you can be gifted for money for down payment, but it's better to have some money in the account. Cause like the real estate agent yesterday was talking about, when it comes down to it, they're gonna look at your account, and if the closing cost is $3,000 and you only got 500 in your savings, they're gonna ask you, hey, so how are we gonna cover this 3,000 if you were to buy a house? You know, well, I was saving $500 is not a lot of money. Even if to the point where you were saving and you have 5,000. Okay, well, the closing costs and down payment, is gonna be 10,000. They still gonna want to know where you get the money from. If you tell them it's gonna be gifted, cool. They want to see the process on who's gonna be giving the gift. Give them that note to where they can give it to you. Also, with paying down your interest rate, having an understanding if they give you a high interest rate, you can pay it down. But you got to also watch that because there's situations I was in one to where they didn't want me to pay my interest rate down because of the amount of money that they was going to make off giving me a high interest rate. And that was one of the reasons I kind of, in my opinion, uh hit on the where I wasn't able to get a loan on the house. Went to somebody else, it was no problem. But they were giving me a decent rate that I, could work with. I could always, refinance, but the thing of it was I wanted something decent off the jump because I can always go down even more. I don't want to start high and go low. So, like I said, just do your research, food for thought. Check out some different companies. If you're gonna go with your personal bank, they're gonna have all your records. If you're gonna go with somebody outside of your bank, which I did, it was to the point where I had to bring all my bank statements over, all this. It all depends. Who's going to give you a better option? Like I said, there's down payment assistance available. Take advantage of that. Only pay the closing costs. Down payment assistance is available. Look for it. In Georgia, they have the Georgia Dream. They have programs in other states. Look for down payment assistance if you're looking to buy a house. Some people don't even know that buying a house is much easier now than it was back in the day. You know, the loan process where they're trying to give you a higher interest rate might be kind of crazy, but the point of it is, as long as you have the money, you can actually get a house easy right now. You know, back in the day, they was doing it to where you have the real estate agent Ramon yesterday was talking about. Back in the day, you needed 2 years to qualify at your job. Now they're trying to do it as low as 30 days, which, in my opinion, is somewhat of a setup because they might don't know if you're going to be at that house for a length of time. So basically, do your diligence, figure out what company you want to go with. What are their options? Do they have down payment assistance available for you? And if they do, take advantage of that. That's money that you can save, put towards, furniture or something. Always, and I keep saying this, during the due diligent period, make sure you get home inspection. Make sure you do a home inspection. $300 to $500 could save you $10,000 in a home inspection. So have an understanding with that. Look at home warranty being an option. If something happens to your home warranty, they most of the time look at what they cover. The what I have, it covers my I didn't know this until after. I thought it just mainly covered major things like the roof, AC unit, the things that people always complain that cost so much money. If anything happens, they're going to be out of a house. But mine also covers my appliances. I didn't know that. I got to look more into detail into my contract and see what mine covers. Yes, a given. Never skip the inspection. I always tell that horror story that a person ended up getting a house. The whole left side of the house was lit up by the sun coming in. The person who was selling the house and the agent knew what they were doing. They kept all the windows open, blinds, whatever, made all that sunlight, natural sunlight coming in the house was perfect in the kitchen and everything. Everything on the right side, the power switches, the outlets, all of them work. On the left side, nothing worked. They had to get that all rewired. Simple stuff like that. You know, Water leaks in houses. I've been said I was gonna leave, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go. But like I said, don't skip the inspection. Look at home warranties being an option, making sure the money is available. Make sure your credit score is up to par. before you actually, yeah, the most of them, but it's not enforced to an extent. It's not enforced. It's up to you. A lot of they encourage you to do it, but it's not enforced. A lot of people they opt out of it. $300-400 they saving that them pennies, and it adds up. You know, doing that due diligent process where you actually, have the time to inspect the house and make sure that, things are, up to par. Because you can see some things walking in the house, but that's the whole thing with paint, spackle, and all that, and duct tape and glue. It can hide that stuff. So, like I said, also make sure the money's available. That's the number one thing when you're self-employed or you have a W 2, making sure the money's available because that's the biggest thing. Which, if you don't have the money in the account to where they can actually see transactions, it's going to be even harder to get a loan. If your debt to income ratio is too high, you know, you got uh um, let's say a $20,000 Mercedes you still paying on. You got $10,000, $30,000 in credit cards. People with all these, people with all these department cards. They're all this is gonna be on your credit. If you have a Macy's card, you have all these different cards, and you're using them and paying the minimum balance, all this is gonna show up to the underwriter. They're gonna look at this and they're gonna process this and see, can you afford this house? Just because you have the funds available in your account and you're paying your bills on time, you're doing everything right, that doesn't mean you can actually afford a house. Basically, what you're doing is sustaining life right now. Some people, to a point, if you're doing this every day, you don't know that, you're having an issue. Like I say, some people are shopping addictions. They don't know it's an addiction until someone on the outside is looking in and telling you, you're spending too much money. You know, you're buying $10,000 purses, you know, but you're staying with a family member. Now you want to buy a house, but your bank statements are showing that you're not saving. You're spending 10,000, 5,000 on purses every 2 months. It's a way, like women say, to treat themselves, but also it's going to hinder you when getting it through this process. Same thing with men, tricking out the cars, buying rims, all this stuff. These little large spending habits are going to show your bad habits when trying to buy the house. So make sure you look at those. And like I say, with always, about to get ready to get out of here. We here and we gone. Shout out to everybody that came in. Hit the like button. And until next time.